R2D-Gen, how you doing, my friend?
I am fantastic, especially after hearing that song. Sorry, Bata, too, but I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree with you. Paper Planes by MIA. Love it. How are you doing?
Feel good? Feel great? Let's get it go.
Paper Planes, actually, the name of my one of my favorite cocktails too. Love it.
Sir.
Um, on that note, welcome to Moon Monday. It is June 20th, and I think that this space has been long awaited, and the Moon Monday announcement that will be dropped after this space also long awaited. That's right, we are going to be talking all things tokenomics light paper. The final touches have been put on it, just going over the little tiny details and the grammar, the dot and the I's, cross the T's, all of that great stuff. And you guys will have the tokenomics white paper. Took a little bit longer than we anticipated. We thought we'd have it be done by the middle of the week, as we mentioned last week. But all good things take time. So I'm really excited to get into this with you, FMC. One of the driving forces behind what everyone's about to see.
Yes, sir. Can't wait to talk about that. We have a few other updates for Moon Monday, and of course, Catfish's beautiful profile of a Genesis wolf. I recognize that Genesis wolf this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to Catfish for doing those. He was away for a couple weeks there, but back on the Genesis Spotlight train with number 48, and that, of course, belongs to Cass, one of the OG Star Wolves members. He has been around every step of the way, and also been working very hard to create partnerships and whatnot to add value to the Star Wolves holders, which we also, of course, really appreciate and enjoy working with him. So big shout out to Cass and big shout out to Catfish for putting that together. Go show it some love. It is pinned at the top as always. Yeah, let's start off with some of the minor announcements. We'll do some of the housekeeping over, that's happened over the last couple days, the last weeks. A couple of bug fixes that we've been looking into. Opening chests, for one. A couple of times somebody would get hung up on opening a chest. The devs, of course, looked into it with all of the information that you guys provided, and seem to have come to a pretty easy and quick solution on that. We're also been looking into the login per day thing. There was one day where I think some people were having some issues with the actual login, and it may have cost them that. So we've kind of gone in and manually repaired some of that. So it shouldn't make a big deal for everyone, but for those few that were affected by it, we should be good to go. One thing that a lot of people, especially some of our beloved whales holders of Star Wolves, have been asking for was an open all chests button. So the design has been kind of finished off for that, and that should be implemented relatively soon. There's been some people talking about maybe a little bit of a tax for being able to open all of your chests at once rather than putting in the work and opening them individually. So we'll see if that kind of rears its head into the game design, but you will know all about that once it's been implemented, and of course all of your feedback is always listened to. The other thing that we've been talking about quite a bit today, I saw it in the dev chat, and we were kind of talking about the best ways to do it. Was the daily login counter. With the way that it works, the time zone being UTC, there's a lot of potential for some lack of clarity in like when you have to log in for the day. It's not quite every 24 hours. It does have to be in the calendar day, but when somebody is in a substantially different time zone, say Pacific, there's the opportunity that maybe they log in at 6 a.m. one day and then 7 p.m. their next day. And there's, the opportunity that a full 24 hours have passed since they logged in. And sometimes it's been falling right in that zone where it's for the other time zone. I'm trying to have it's hard to explain. But what we're going to be doing is, I believe, adding a countdown timer in, so it will say, 4 hours until the next day starts, 6 hours until the next day starts. And I think that that transparency just being added onto the dashboard will make it people a lot easier to understand kind of when the days tick over, and how much time you have remaining to be able to log in, or until you can log in for the next day. So I think that's going to provide a lot of clarity for everybody. We're going to be running a couple of giveaways in the Discord. As always, we've got some allow lists to be giving away. There's a great one for the Genesis Wolves, and then there's going to be one for the entire Star Wolves pack to have a chance at. I know Poppy has been working really hard on a couple of bots. We're going to be implementing some ticket systems and some better giveaway bots in the future, which is going to really streamline processes in there, make ours and your lives earlier. There's been a lot going on in the Star Wolves behind the scenes that we're really excited to share with you. The final thing on that is that the PvP boss battle and Battle Dome code is now being implemented into the main code base of the game. We're going to be testing it internally, and then of course we'll let the our beloved Genesis and some of our top holders maybe get some beta testing and make sure that we've nailed it all, and we should be good to go. I think it's all very exciting stuff. Free Market, how are you feeling about things?
Loving it, bud. Some great updates for now. I'll tell you, I was just perusing Twitter, and Zeneca posted a poll, and he asked which area of NFTs excite you most, and the results are blowing his mind. Wow, quote unquote, because gaming is tied for first place with 38% of the vote. So I just thought that was a pretty cool stat to see. I've been talking about PFPs kind of taking a rest, and generative art and gaming coming to the forefront here. So I'm happy to see that the market is thinking that way too, as NFT NYC rages on now here in New York.
Yeah, of
So
course. NFTs, NFT NYC just getting started. I'm gonna go ahead and put Zeneca's tweet up on the top of this too. And if you're listening and you haven't weighed in on it, go vote for gaming, and maybe even just throw a Star Wolves mention out there too, if that's the one you want to vote for. But yeah, of course, we're all here because we are bullish on NFT gaming, Web3, crypto gaming, all of that, whatever you want to call it. I think it's one of the most obvious and important use cases that we can do. We talk about that so much on Terrestrial Thursday. We don't need to get into that today. I also just want to give one more mention to the updates that we had. We've also been running the hidden wolves that Charlie has been going in, randomly selecting a couple of different wolves that have been listed on or around the floor, and whoever buys that wolf will be airdropped a free wolf from the community wallet too. So that's been kind of cool, just as a little added bonus for the people that are still buying Star Wolves and jumping in. So
yeah,
and
only a
one
couple
one
hundred
winner was
left
one
on the
that
floor there.
what's that?
I said only a couple hundred left on the floor there now.
Yeah, I think we are at an all-time low since the public mint of 241 wolves listed, which is, approaching basically 2.5% of the entire collection, which is incredibly low, and
Pretty
obviously something to be very excited about.
pretty mind-boggling. And I'll tell you, while this bear market has bared down on all of us quite hard, NFTs have looked a little perky here the last week, heading into NFT NYC. I think people realize the opportunity abound right now, and it's nice to see a little bit of life back in the market. And you kind of hope, after everybody parties for a week, remembers kind of the fun aspect of it, since people aren't as focused on the money part anymore. Maybe they'll come out of it with renewed energy, and it's nice to kind of see that life back in the market.
Yeah, we're definitely getting a little bit of market back, or a little bit of life back in the main crypto market. These NFT focused conferences, they always seem to kind of create a lull in the market while, the majority of people are out there. A lot of the big names in the space are not really as engaged on Twitter, active, and there always seems to be a volume depression. Of course, there's a big lack of volume in the NFT market in general right now, but I think as exciting as NFT NYC would be in a full blown bull market where everyone is just having the time of their lives, it might just be what the market needs to just get a little bit of excitement. A lot of these projects that have been around for a while have a presence there. They're going to be making announcements. They're going to be having parties, and even just seeing a lot of what's being posted already just gets me excited to know that there are tons of people out there that are still very, very excited about what's going on in this space and in this world. And I think it's gonna be a really good thing right now.
Twitter projects a much worse reality than actually exists. And when you see the pictures and videos so far from the conference, people are just having a good time and they seem excited to be there. So I think that that's really encouraging. And I feel like now, R2, we should jump into the light paper, talk some tokenomics. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all of this stuff is going to be accessible to you very shortly after the space. But if you are listening to it, you're going to get the live first look at it, and of course with the kind of the color with free market, kind of commenting on the thought processes by it, or what went into the decision making and why we're doing it. Some of this stuff you will already definitely know. We've touched upon it, we've talked about it, but it's going to just be in a really nice looking light paper, and it's going to be a great way for you guys to be able to share it with people. Sometimes PFPs and whatnot aren't enough for some people. They actually want to see some tokenomics, they want to see some literature and stuff like that. And we're happy to say that now it will be at your disposal to be sharing it. So on that note, we have a preamble section that will go in there, and it's just basically the overarching thesis behind how we view Web 2.5 game as it's referred to in the document, and we've referred to it in the past. The goal of the token economy and design choices enumerated below are encouraging, exciting, sustainable gameplay, emphasis on sustainable, reward early project supporters. So anybody that's in here holding Star Wolves, I mean, you would be considered an early project supporter, and to be able to attract and onboard new game participants. Balancing an ecosystem is the grand challenge of P2E gaming. We go into some details about some of the other projects. We look at like Axie Infinity, how well they did, but the inflationary dynamics of Axie really kind of it took a long-term toll. We see so many games that inflation kicks into effect very, very quickly. And, we're in this for the long term. We want something that's long lasting, long standing, that we are incredibly proud to put our names on. And this is kind of the core focus on that. Can you tell us some of the lessons that we've learned in the past, and, what we are doing to kind of make sure that we're not falling victim to a lot of the stuff, including, of course, the capped token supply, which will be 69 million tokens?
Well, there's two main directives, and that's what kind of these sections in this light paper line out, which is our strategy to attack these two directives and move forward in that direction. And that is balance, which are two just talked about. And obviously, that's where a lot of the math and supply considerations are coming into it. So, like R2 said, it's a capped supply, and that's going to be capped initially at 69 million tokens. All right. There are two things here, and these are the two considerations kind of when you're deciding whether you would have an infinite supply on your token or a cap supply. And that is, when you have an infinite supply, you're obviously worried about hyperinflation, and when you have a cap supply, you're worried about people not spending, right? So when game theorists approach kind of how they make these tokens, they're assessing which would be more of a negative based on their community. Because we are a game, we think that really, for the most part, negates the negative of a deflationary token. There are a ton of reasons to use the token that can benefit you greater than just holding it. So it counteracts that the deflationary aspect of a cap supply, because obviously as a cap supply out there, the tokens start to run out and that causes deflation. So we think because it's a game, that that part completely balances out and a cap supply is much more beneficial. Now, the other main directive that we are looking at is keeping our game not linear. So the loot boxes, which you guys are already experiencing, is part of that. The token itself, you're encouraged to use it in gameplay to get things like the machines, which you can upgrade, and the loot boxes. Now, these items can end up having a lot more value than the token itself. And this is kind of what encourages people to play. It encourages people to use the token. The big negative to just having an infinite supply is that if there are ever lulls in the game, in other words, between seasons, or we enter another bear market, or there just happens to be conditions that make a lull, well, your token never stops printing. And as we can see with other games during those lulls, you end up with a really, really bad token imbalance, which completely crashes your price. So we think that we have taken into account both those factors, and it's why we've settled on a fixed supply here of 69 million tokens.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines from this tokenomics light paper that you're going to see is in this section of why supply is capped. Of course, free market, just breaking down all of the, some of the advantages, and honestly, like there are some disadvantages, but not really in a bad way. And the quote from the light paper is, capping supply forces us as game developers to be judicious with how supply is meted out. It's a game development forcing function, which means that with a capped supply, the impetus on is on us to continue the development, continue growing the ecosystem, continuing to make adjustments. If you've listened to a lot of our spaces and media content that we've done in the past, you're going to know that we've talked about things like seasons. Things might change in the Star Wolves universe as we continue and develop the narrative, the lore, and of course the gameplay, and all of these are going to go hand in hand in creating like a really just a fully immersive, logical experience. And that's the thing. We're creating this universe that we want to make sense. We want it to function properly, and we want it to be variable in the sense that if you play the game now and play it for a couple of months, you can come back to it or continue to play it, and you're going to continue to get an adaptive experience and within our universe and the storytelling that goes into it. Fortnite had just released their first the first version of their game and never changed anything up with seasons. I can guarantee you that it wouldn't have been as long-standing as it is today. But they're very diligent in making balancing changes, throwing wrenches into things, really just turning everything upside down, and they do it while telling a story the entire way. That's kind of how we're approaching a lot of the things too.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea, and we're going to talk quickly about soft staking, which we've talked about before. It's the first paragraph or in our light paper, and it talks again to our kind of 2.5 philosophy here. And just as R2 was saying, a lot of these games aren't successful without seasons, without story, without lore. That all comes from a centralized organization. So I think people getting too hung up on fully on chain need to understand that there are certain parts that are very beneficial to have on chain. And that's why the entire segment of NFT gaming is so exciting to us. But given that certain parts have to be controlled by a centralized organization, we're going to take those parts of it and put it and do it ourselves as a company, since we have to be there anyway. So soft staking, a way that we're preventing a heap of fees, because we're trying to appeal to the mass market here and with gamers. So with soft staking, obviously your wolves being in your wallet means they're staked. You don't have any additional transactions or transfers that need to happen, but they must stay in your wallet. If they leave your wallet, they are then soft staked in that other wallet. So just pay attention to that. You can't move them around. Your pack has to be where your pack has to be.
Yeah, and I love things like this too. I would say that like in months prior, the idea of committing an NFT to a contract and hard staking it in there, you can argue it reduces supply that's accessible for people to sell, for people to list. Like you have to have that kind of risk to tie up an asset into a smart contract. But, at the end of the day, like a lot of times you're giving this NFT into another contract. You're relying on the fact that that smart contract is incredibly secure. There's not going to be any bugs, loopholes, or anything in there. And one of the big monikers of crypto is, of course, not your keys, not your crypto. You don't ever really want your NFTs to be leaving your wallet too, right? At the end of the day, the security is kind of on you to make sure that your own wallet is secure. But if you can eliminate kind of those points of failure out of there too, I think that that's going to be a pretty big thing going forward as well. So, we thought about that a lot too. But I think landing on soft staking was the right decision.
Absolutely. So, our main directives: balance and to be non-linear, as that is how most games are successful. Soft staking, you understand that's how you earn your tokens, of which there's a cap supply of 69 million. Now, let's talk about what you're going to get, your token distribution. All right. We know there's going to be an initial airdrop based on the Discord XP snapshot. You guys have been playing the game for months. Of course, your Stardust and how much you've earned related to your XP is going to be airdropped to you initially. And that's for all users, of course, who own at least one Star Wolf NFT. Unfortunately, if you did play for months, you don't own an NFT. I don't know what you're doing, but you won't be getting that Stardust airdrop. Next, the pregame dashboard. Okay. Connecting a wallet with the Wolves to the pregame dashboard and checking it daily also grants you early Stardust earning opportunities. We're trying to encourage you to go to your dashboard and check it out. And we're doing that with rewards in Stardust. That's also another avenue of distribution. Your in-game earnings, what you're doing passively from your Wolves being in your wallet, that would be 50 Stardust a day for the Genesis, 5 Stardust a day per generative. And the generatives must be staked for a full month to reach their maximum Stardust earning potential. All right. The Genesis are exempt from this requirement. So, what it means is that over a month, you slowly build your way up to earning that 5. Now, from that point on, you earn 5. There's no problem. If it ever moves to another wallet because you sold it, transferred it for whatever reason, that starts over again. It has to be in that wallet for a month to get up and earn its full potential. Okay, so just make sure that you note that. Why do we encourage a full squad? We know how many Wolves are supposed to be in a pack. There is a 10% boost if you have 3 Wolves. That's 3 per pack in your wallet. All right, so there is a 10% full squad boost.
I
Now,
want to
go
elaborate
for it.
on that really quickly too, because we do get the question not as frequently as we used to, but it still does pop up. If you have 20 wolves in your wallet, you can only have a one team of 3 that will be actively participating in missions like the mining mission and whatnot. But all of those 20 wolves will be generating, if they've been in the wallet for a month, the 5 Stardust, and that 10% boost will apply to all of them across all 20 for the passive generation. I saw a lot of people kind of theory crafting how they can split it up into different. No, that 10% boost is just going to be 10% boost across the board. There's no way to boost it having multiple wallets. Now, if you want to actively play the game with multiple squads of 3, you can have them in different wallets. And of course, each of those wallets will be getting their own 10% boost, which mathematically will all end up the same. But that requires you to put forth more energy and time into playing the game twice or 3 times or 5 times if you want to, right? And that's kind of one of those mechanics and one of the reasons why if you want to do it, you have to do it over multiple wallets.
Yeah, and this is something that we noticed in other games as well. And you'll often set up farm wallets, right? Wallets where your wolves are just farming for you, and then you use all of that Stardust for one team or two teams that you're really pushing on the leaderboard type of thing. So we obviously want to spread playable packs across wallets to kind of act as a safeguard against whale dominance. So that's why we're doing that. But consider and strategize maybe how you would farm your wolves, or whether you would create wallets just for farming or things like that. That's just something that you should consider.
Yeah,
So
and one of the advantages to, maybe having a large pack of wolves that can't all actively participate is that, remember, we did run the community giveaway, and the traits are going to play a part in the core game that will be coming out. It might be very beneficial for you to be able to swap different wolves in and out of your active crew of 3, depending on what you're doing at that time. So, if you want to be playing more and you want to split them up over multiple wallets, as Free Market mentioned, kind of a safeguard against whales, like, if they want to be playing that many times, it's going to cost them a little bit, whether it's at a slight disadvantage from not having all of those wolves in the proper wallets and swapping out the traits properly, or just having to pay, basically the transfer gas to be able to set that all up, right?
exactly. And obviously, successful missions may emit Stardust during gameplay. So that would be another area that token distribution would occur. And we do want to note, as we kind of mentioned earlier, that these rates may change over time depending on what happens in the universe. Stardust is a resource and an element. Anything can happen in this world. So while these rates are what will be there at launch, pay close attention to how the story unfolds and how the game progresses. Now, we could move on to what we're going to spend those tokens on, which we colloquially call our token sinks.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll say built-in burn mechanisms serve not only to incentivize players to use the token in-game rather than just selling them on the open market, but also provide like a broader choice structure to players of all types. So, you'll be able to commit them to different things, such as the battle pass, such as speeding up the progress of your base, such as purchasing things on the marketplace that we'll be working on, or the in-game item shop that we will have. And, we talked a lot about this with Etherworks, and it really is just about providing a robust choice-driven economy where you'll have lots of choice, not only for how to optimize, but what suits your own style of play. Maybe some people want to be rushing to the highest level machinery right off the bat and to say that they were the first ones there. Maybe some people do want to farm. Maybe some people want to farm items from the in-game shop. Like, there's going to be multiple paths to success. And not all gamer is built the same. Like, some follow very rigorous min-max structures. Like, you want to get the most out of every single action you do. Some people just want to play it for fun. They like just clicking buttons. They like the social element of it, all of that stuff. These token sinks are all designed with different play styles in mind. And I think that that's very important for creating a robust player economy.
Yeah, and this speaks to our directive of not being linear, right? When you create these different avenues in the game that people can take. You kind of want the most basic passive farming to have the lowest yield, right? You want the gameplay and the other actions that you can take in the game to have a much better potential for a return. And what this does is it minimizes the amount of people who want to farm. It maximizes the amount of people who want to play. And of course, the idea is as people fall in love with the game, they're going to be acquiring these loot boxes so that they can, you know, build their machines up, get their home base rocking, and make their Wolves the most powerful team, because leaders on the starboard are going to be entitled to certain rewards. And we will get into that later. We haven't made the exact announcement on what those are going to be. But obviously, the in game upgrades and the missions are all going to cost Stardust. It is the center of our economy. And the item shop, of course, that is in development. You're talking about cosmetic upgrades for your home base, for your wolves, and then the in-game items that apply buffs to the machinery, future mining and combat missions. These are all places that you're going to use your Stardust. And, of course, the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass is something we've been thinking a lot about, and it's just going to be a recurring opportunity for players who want to enhance and accelerate, right? When we talked about these different avenues that people can take depending on how they want to approach the game. For those that are saying, okay, being at the top of the leaderboard is going to be the most fun, the best return for me, the Battle Pass is going to be a direction they want to go. There's going to be enhancements for your gameplay because of it, depending and relating on your exposure to Stardust. It's going to reduce your upgrade times, and this becomes big. You know, little amounts of time and little percentage advantages really, really compound and add up in these type of games. And we've seen it in Ether Orcs or in Raid Party, and these things that seem like small advantages early on, as you get into the subsequent weeks of a season, become really, really huge. So if you are planning to be on top of that leaderboard, you're definitely going to want to consider a battle pass. And that means start saving that Stardust. Don't get so spendthrift or drunk with it early on, because that's going to be 1,000 Stardust to acquire that battle pass.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I love about this battle pass is that it is kind of a traditional gaming mechanism that really kind of came into popularity a few years ago with the likes of things like Call of Duty Warzone, Rocket League, Fortnite, of course, all of that stuff. But in the Star Wolves ecosystem, it will actually kind of be a Stardust staking mechanism too, right? Like you're going to have to commit that 1,000 Stardust up front to reap the rewards of it later, like you would with staking anything in any kind of blockchain network, right? You can stake ETH into the new Ethereum network, and you will yield a reward over time that is obviously going to be beneficial for you, but you have to commit that ETH up front. This is going to be a way of committing Stardust up front, pulling it out of the network immediately, and being able to yield it out and back to you guys over a longer period of time. But it will require your active participation or proof of work, right? You're going to be playing this game. You're going to be clicking buttons. You're going to be going through all of the missions and upgrading things and all of that stuff. And that battle pass is going to yield you more than you would have if you didn't initially purchase it. But of course, it requires you to put that upfront investment in and then work to pull the yield back out of it. And I just think that, that's such a great way of combining the Web 2 world with the Web 3 world. And I think it's a beautiful marriage. And again, we talk about how all of these things can just be just beautiful use cases pulled over into Web 3. And this is one that we're really, really proud of.
Yeah, couldn't be happier with it. So want you guys to, after the show, dive deep into that paper, read the details of the stuff we've been outlining here. And of course, we are always available in the Discord if you guys have questions, comments, suggestions on the light paper. At the very end, we kind of talk about the broader universe and what's planned beyond the initial lore and of course our initial release. There are many classes of game players: explorers, who we believe is going to be one of the cohorts and long-term players here, the achievers who are trying to maximize their gameplay with the initial ecosystem and creating economic value that they could remunerate themselves with. And of course, the very long-term players, how Stardust will act as a gateway to continue the journey with future collections, community created lore, in-person events. Utility inevitably needs to stretch beyond the confines of the game for sustainability. And that is something that we really is at the core of what we're doing. So we're very proud to get that out later to you guys today.
Yeah, absolutely. Free market. Do you want to take a couple of questions from the audience if you guys have any?
Yeah, please, please request if you want to talk about the tokenomics or the game paper or anything else. Come on up.
Yeah, for sure. We do have one Saiku who is joining us up on stage. Go ahead, my friend. How you doing today?
Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm fine. Migrating from another part of the world called Gambia.
Well, we're very happy that you tuned in with us today. So I appreciate
I
that.
don't think he had a question about the tokenomics, so
Gotcha.
that's unfortunate. But great. Well, like we said, that is going to be released later tonight. Keep an eye out on it. Peruse it, dig deep. Like I said, we are always in the Discord. If you have any questions, just tag me, tag R2. We are there and happy to help. Go check out the announcements if you want to see all of the stuff we talked about on Moon Monday. R2, another one in the books, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Great Moon Monday. I appreciate everybody's time for tuning in. Great turnout today. And, in the future Moon Mondays, we're going to be looking to have some conversations with some of the other team members too. So you can hear some of the stuff that they've been working on, how they're feeling about Star Wolves and all of that stuff. And I think it's going to be really important to kind of hear from all of us here at Star Wolves and have the conversation with them too. So that'll be something to look forward to going forward. As Free Market said, we are always hanging out in the Discord. All you got to do is just tag, myself, FMC, Charlie, NVO, Scott, any of the devs. We always love having the conversation with you guys, answering some of the questions, even if it's something that's been asked, a dozen times before. Everybody, has the right to get answers and know what's going on with us. We're building out here in the open. It's one of the reasons why we do these spaces every single Monday and Thursday, and we want all of you to participate in that growth. Of course, we're really excited for everybody to actually dig into this light paper, read through it, ask more questions, provide feedback. We always listen to the feedback, and some of the substantial changes or adjustments that we've made to the Star Wolves ecosystem have come on the backs of like a very real and productive discussion that happens within the Discord. So it's all going down there. If you're new to Star Wolves, you kind of hopped into this space and it's the first time checking us out, please jump into the Discord. The link will be in the bio of the @StarWolves account, which I am on right now. And you can just start chatting with us. The community is incredibly friendly, welcoming. We get so excited when somebody comes in, shows us their new wolf that they got. And really, it's just about sticking together all as one pack. We're going to wrap it up from there. Of course, this spaces will be recorded. Again, we appreciate everyone's time. We love you all.
See you on Terrestrial Thursdays. Bye, guys.